and put
Put your
on.
running
Okay.
shoes on.
Okay.
We are just about there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide, Presidents Distinguished. And it looks like we have a few guests and they already have a G in front of their name. And if you have a function, if you could put that in front of your name. Club mission, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Core values, integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And it is really my pleasure to introduce our president, Tala bin Hamid. Tala, you have the podium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. Welcome everyone to the 121st meeting of Leaders Worldwide. 121st. Think about it. 121 weeks we've been meeting. 121 weeks. This club has been putting on excellent meetings. And forgive me for having people have a bad hair day, and for that you need to have hair. But I have a bad beard day. So I'll try to fix it too early in the morning. Excuse me for that. So today we have a wealth of guests with us today. And we'll start with some familiar faces too, and some new faces, at least to me. So how about guest Mona Safari? Would you like to introduce yourself and what brings you to our neck of the woods? Guest Mona, are you there?
Oh,
All right.
Tala, she's driving, so she may not be able to speak at this particular moment.
Oh, all right, all right. Please stay safe. And yeah, yesterday I hit my car as well, so I can understand. Yeah. How about guest Martin Galavis? Is that how you pronounce your name, sir?
Yeah, in Spanish it's Martin Galavis, but in English it's okay. And I live in Mexico. My district is 34, and I am also in Texas, District 25. And I was also in District 57. You are outstanding Toastmasters, and I think that is to return to District 57 is like to have a refreshment and to learn more. So I hope to be here. Thank you.
Wow, that's truly an honor for us. You are a globetrotter, and you're here with us today. So great to have you. Next, we have someone who is a very familiar friend, but he's still a guest, and he is Distinguished Toastmaster Zameen. So, sir, please introduce yourself to those who don't know you.
Good morning, and I am DTM Zameen M. Salim from District 82, speaking to you from Colombo, Sri Lanka. So it's early morning for us too. It's 30 minutes past 6. And this is not my first time at Leaders Worldwide. I have been here so many times. I always love to come to Leaders Worldwide because I learn a lot and also I can enjoy a lot.
Absolutely fantastic to have you as always, DTM Zameen. Next, we have guest Judith Ferber.
Yes, I am here from District 1 and District 52. And so I am just here to visiting friends and being part of the wonderful meeting. I am looking forward to it. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Judith. It's always lovely to have you. Next, we have Taze McLeod. So, Mr. Taze, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. I am Taze McLeod from the Caribbean.
I'm very happy to be here. I'll be the timer for tonight's meeting.
All right, so I believe we have covered all the guests that are present today, except for guest Mona, who we will advise to stay safe while driving. We will come back to you later. And now it's time to introduce our Toastmaster of the day. And it's a cliche that our Toastmaster of the day does not need any introduction, but she really does not need any introduction. Because by now, if you do not know our Toastmaster of the day, Michelle Petticolas, then you haven't been to our meetings very often. She is our celebrity speaker. She's our celebrity speaker, our contest winner, a stalwart, and the secretary of Leaders Worldwide. Everyone, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Michelle Petticolas. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, President Tala. Oh my gosh, I'm not only doing speaking, but I'm also letting people in the room. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Hello to fellow Toastmasters and guests, and of course, Mr. President. It's my pleasure to serve as the Toastmaster of the day tonight. And before I introduce the theme of the day, which is a very juicy theme, let me explain the agenda of the meeting. There's one change to the agenda. Maybe somebody could post the agenda in the chat. There's one change, and that is that our third evaluator is Alpana King. Toastmaster meetings are generally divided into 3 sections: the prepared speech section, for which we have 4 speakers today, the table topic session, which is the impromptu speeches, and then the last section is the evaluation or feedback session. Now, to accommodate our wild schedule, we do 2 speakers and their evaluations before the break, and then we do the next 2 speakers after the break, and then go right back into the normal procedure of things, doing the table topics before they get evaluated. Today's meeting theme is World Autism Awareness Day, which was officially yesterday, but the theme, or the World Autism Awareness, actually lasts for a whole month. And this is the 16th year of its celebration. And according to Autism Speaks, which I looked up to find out some information about autism, autism or autism spectrum disorder, ASD, refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech and nonverbal communication. And according to the Center for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 36 children in the United States today. Now, when I think about autism, I think about Rain Man and Dustin Hoffman. But actually, it was a surprise to me to find out how many famous people actually have had to navigate this particular condition. And 2 famous people you would like to know about are Albert Einstein and Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, well, you know who Einstein is, but Dan Aykroyd, it was a very, very famous, or probably still is, can't keep track of these people, actor, and he was on Saturday Night Live. I would now like to introduce our general evaluator, Rosalind Khan. She is the general evaluator for today. Rosalind, please take the stage, introduce your team members, the grammarian and timer, and explain your role. I will be introducing the first 2 evaluators for this portion of the meeting.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. My name is Rosalind Khan. I'm the general evaluator. At the conclusion of tonight's meeting, I will evaluate the goods, the bads, the uglies, and everything that happened in our exciting, stimulating meeting that was full of diversity from people all over the world. I couldn't do this job without my fellow friends, so I'd like to invite my friends to tell us what they do. I will begin with our grammarian, which is Sally Elizabeth Reyes. Could you please explain your role to us?
Thank you very much, Robin. Yes, I'm looking for the quality of speech. And in case you have a few too many ahs, abouts, buts, and things like that, we will count them and you can get used to perhaps recognizing them and stop saying them a little at a time. It's a big change. I've been very proud of all the people that we've worked with that have stopped using those useless little names, words. So also diversity is our word of the day. And of course, that's because of a wonderful day that we can celebrate with autism, which brings a lot of challenges, misunderstandings, and maybe misdemeanors. Anyway, it's I've been aware of having several relatives with autism, and they were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So use the word of the day, please, and we'll count them. And any special phrases that stand out, I love to grab those and concentrate on how you look at the world and what special works you bring to us. Thank you so much. Back to you, Rosalind.
Thank you so very much for that beautiful introduction of your jobs and responsibilities. And we're going to take diversity to its highest levels by going all the way to our esteemed timer, Taze McLeod.
Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters, specially invited guests. I have the privilege of being the timer for tonight's meeting. And my job is to take note of the time for various speaking rules. And I will also be indicating time through the use of colors. Look out for this color. This means everything is okay. You're in good time. For prepared speakers, this will be at 5 minutes. This will be at 6 minutes. And this will be at the 7th minute. And you will have 30 seconds to wrap up. Back to you, General Evangelista.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction of that role. And I would now like to return control to our Toastmaster, Michelle Pentacolis.
Mute, please. Thank you, Rosalind, for an excellent introduction of your team and the roles that you are providing and the roles that they are providing. Now, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the primary characteristics of autism. They are 1, poorly developed social skills, 2, difficulty with expressive and receptive communication, and 3, the presence of restrictive and repetitive behaviors. I don't know how much that says to you. I once met a woman who self-identified as autistic, and she shared her struggle with her social blindness. That is, her inability to read social cues. And I thought about how really difficult that must be, especially in high school, but also in work, of being in a new place, like being in a new school in another country or even on another planet, and not being able to interpret any of the social cues, and how difficult that must be. Thinking of social cues, here are the protocols we use on Zoom to make things go smoothly. I'm giving you the cues that you need to know about. Please refrain from chatting during the speeches. I know you won't do that. Switch to speaker view so you can see the speakers on full screen. And the word of today is diversity. So don't forget it when you're giving your speeches or you're making comments or evaluations. Now, our first evaluator is Zamin Salim. Please explain the path, level, project, and time, and the speech objectives of our first speaker. Are you prepared to give that?
Yes, Madam General Evaluator, I am so glad to give the description about the speech that our friend Lydia Norman is going to do this morning, or this evening rather. She is speaking, delivering a project from the path Visionary Communication Level 3, and speech number 7 she is doing using descriptive language. So that is the project, and the purpose of the project is for the member to practice writing a speech with an emphasis on adding language to increase interest and impact. Again, the purpose of this project is for the member to practice writing a speech with an emphasis in adding language to increase interest and impact. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that very informative description of her speech and what she's going to be working on. Our first speaker is Lydia Norman. Lydia, just wanted to check, can you see the timer?
Yes.
Great. Lydia is a passionate advocate for diversity in the workplace. Her vision is to create a world in which workplaces are diverse, fair, and productive for all employees, regardless of ability. In celebration of World Autism Awareness Day, she is sharing her story of being a neurodiverse person. Lydia Norman, neurodiversity in the workplace, neurodiversity in the workplace, Lydia Norman.
A majestic eagle circles in the skies above when suddenly she spots her target, a tasty fish swimming in the waters below. She swoops down to pluck the fish from the water when suddenly goggles on her eagle eyes, flippers cramping her sharp talons, and a weighty air peck way down her back. As she's plunged down into the waters below, she hears a voice. You are now a catfish. She looks around to see herself surrounded by fish. Catfish. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I am that eagle, and this is my story as a person with a cognitive disability in the workplace. No, wait. I know what you're thinking. You don't look like you have a disability. An eagle wearing goggles, becoming a catfish? Well, what does a person with a disability look like? And what happens when a person doesn't act like what you expect a person with a disability to look or act like? Come along with me back to my childhood. We're going to get into my modified DeLorean here. Well, let's go back to the 1970s and 80s. I remember I used to have such trouble tying my shoes. And I was so happy when digital clocks came out because I couldn't read an analog clock to save my life. Nevertheless, I got A's and B's in schools. I graduated 24 out of 237 in my graduating class and a member of National Honor Society. I was even in the gifted and talented program. Although sometimes I didn't even know how I got there because I felt dumb compared to some of the other kids. Let's go just a few years later to the 2000s. I'm now a mom, and I've got 4 small children who all ended up being diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And imagine my surprise when the psychiatrist looks at me and says, Mrs. Norman, you also have ADHD. Wait, what? You mean I have that condition where the kid bounces around like a ball and can't sit still? What do you mean? And then I had such relief when she continued. But you got A's and B's in school, so it didn't affect you. great, I thought. So I never pursued getting an official diagnosis, especially since I was in the last year of my 4-year accounting degree and, as usual, was getting A's and B's. I went on to have what I thought was a successful career in accounting. Except when we fast forward a bit to the mid-2010s, I found myself at a new job. My favorite boss left 10 weeks after hiring me, and I found myself bouncing from manager to manager to manager until manager number 5. Now, number 5 was a challenge for me because I approached my work from an eagle's perspective, high level and working down, while he approached his work from that of a catfish, submerged down in the details. The challenge came because he expected me to work in the same way that he did. And that pressure caused my anxiety to flare because our styles clashed. And like most people with high functioning impairments, I tried my best to self-medicate. My drug of choice, caffeine. My boss and my coworkers had no clue that I'm going to Starbucks to get a coffee was really code for I need something to drug myself so that I can sit in this office and crunch numbers all day. Ugh. But like most drugs, the coffee ended up not being enough. I tried my best to find supports that my boss and my HR department could help me with. Unfortunately, it didn't help. When I brought suggestions to them, we aren't doing anything for you until you bring in something from a doctor. And then they put me on a performance improvement plan, an overachiever like me. It caused me to have a nervous breakdown. I left work for 8 weeks, and when I came back with accommodations in hand, my scuba gear, they mocked them. Oh, I wish that I could go home when the boss got on my nerves. I left that job. I looked for a year for another job that I couldn't find. And I began to battle a serious case of imposter syndrome. Was all my previous successes just a figment of my imagination? And then I decided to go back to school so that I could help others to learn how to manage people with cognitive disabilities like me in the workplace. Now, my diagnosis is mild neurocognitive impairment, which is basically autism, which I developed as an adult. It's a mistaken belief that autism only affects children, but 70 to 80% of people diagnosed with ADHD are actually autistic. But we learned how to mask. But if I have demonstrated, disability doesn't mean that we are unable. We are able. Scuba gear will never make eagles be catfish. So please, let eagles like me be eagles. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Oh, Lydia, excellent. Whoops, where's my video? Hold on. There I am, back again. What a dynamic speech and what an idea about being a catfish. As I said, being on another planet, aren't we talking about that? Our next, timer, please put 1 minute on the clock. And let me know when it's up.
It's running.
Thank you.
If you can hear me, a minute is up.
Thank you. I can hear you. Thank you very much, Taze. Our second evaluator is Rosalind Kahn. You're going to be seeing a lot of her. She's taken on a lot of roles in this meeting. Rosalind, would you please identify the path, level, project, and the time of and the speech objectives of our second speaker? And that information. Yes, go ahead.
Our second speaker is Alex Balich. How a quarter, nickel, and dime is the key to my success. He is performing out of the presentation mastery, #1, effective body language, 5 to 7 minutes. The goal of this is choose a topic that lends itself to an expression through movement and gesture. Deliver a speech containing practiced and refined nonverbal communication. It is 5 to 7 minutes, and Alex tells how the lessons he learned when he was 8 years old guide him today. Let's give it up to Alex.
Well, actually, it comes back to me first, Alex.
Oh,
so
well,
hold
I'm
on a
sorry.
second. And Alex Balich is our second speaker. He, as Rosalind's already said, will tell how the lessons he learned when he was 8 years old has guided him today. Alex Balich, how a quarter, nickel, and dime is the key to my success. How a quarter, nickel, and dime is the key to my success. Alex Balich, take it away.
Hello, dynamic Toastmasters from all over the world. I've been told it's a good idea to tell a joke in the beginning of a speech, but I'm not here to tell jokes. I'm here to pick a fight. I'm here to pick a fight with why doing the right thing is out of fashion. That's what I've said. Why doing the right thing is out of fashion. Why is it easier to bend the rules? Why is it easier to make it, it's okay if everything isn't the way it should be? I firmly believe that being accountable is so important, because if you're accountable, you make sense in the long run. I was told at an early age that you have to be on time. You have to do these things. And why? Because when I grew up at 8 years old, I had to go to the liquor store. I was the youngest of 4. And when you're the youngest of 4 and you own a liquor store, you got to go to work. And my dad said, you got 2 choices in life. You can either live at home or you get kicked out. Well, if you live at home, you either work or you go to school. But you have to know what goes on at the liquor store. So that's what we did. And it was a great time. And I learned so much, because you learned how to deal with bottles. You know, you used the machine to put on the tags, ching, 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 and you would do all sorts of things. Learn how to talk to people. But one of the things that we always did was we learned how to make change. Now, I know for some of you, making change isn't a big deal. But growing up, before we had all the cards and everything else, it meant a lot, because people were coming in and out because you're right across the street from the train station and they needed their sodas or whatever type of libation. And my uncle told me, my Uncle Sam, you have to understand, Tommy, Jeffrey, Alex, he never remembered our names. A quarter, a nickel, and a dime equals 40 cents. Well, okay, but the reason why it does that, it gets people out quicker, and the more you know it, the better it is. Okay, so I learned how to add and subtract on the cash register. which I know doesn't seem like a big deal today because all the machines automatically do it. But at that time, we didn't have that. I feel old saying that, but you might give change to somebody nowadays and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. If you do even use money today. But how does this relate to today? Well, I have an intern and she's a high schooler. And one of the biggest problems that I see is that if you're not good at something, you stink. Well, that's not true. She's coming to be an intern because she wants to learn, but she has to be open to criticism, and I have to be open to learning how she learns. So we had a project to do for social media. And she comes back the first day and she copied and pasted everything onto the social media slide. And it looked like, hate to break the news to you, it looked like it was awful. It looks like she put no effort into it. And my assistant and I were like, all right, what do we do? Do we tell her and give her a gold star? Or do we do the hamburger method, which is good, bad, good? You know what? We're going to learn from this. So we trained her. We talked to her advisor, and her advisor actually said, I'm really shocked because I usually don't get feedback from employers. They usually just mark it off and away they go. I'm like, I want a relationship with you folks because I want the next generation to know what the heck they're doing. Next week she comes in. It was a little bit better, but we're working on it. And making her accountable will hopefully make her a better student, and she'll be hireable. Because right now, I told her, the work you're producing, I'm not going to hire you. And I know that sounds harsh, but you know what? That's all I know. Tough love. And I think that that's an important thing. Just because you're criticized does not mean that it's wrong. It means that you improved. Thomas Edison said, I didn't invent the light bulb once. I did 175 mistakes, and the one time I got it right. And that's all you have to do is get it right one time. But you have to have a process for those 175 other times. And I think that's the thing. The journey is part of the whole entire thing. And that's what we as adults have to look at, and kids have to look at as well. And when I say kids, I'm on my little soapbox. 20s, teens, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We're all kids. I still feel like I'm 13. I'm going to leave you on this because my daughter learned how to play field hockey this year, and she practiced every day, and she's awful. But we kept practicing. And it's the last game of the season. She has never really seen the ball. And what happens? I look, she has the ball, she plants, she shoots, she misses. She plants again, shoots, and scores, and we tie the game, and the team was undefeated with one tie. And I said to her, why? Why did that happen? Dad, we practiced all the time. And I said, you know what? I might have to be your coach next year. Was I hard on you? Yeah. Was I hard on everybody? Yeah. See? It's about accountability. We have to have standards. So I know you've been waiting because this is a great speech and you want to hear a joke. I can see in the room that you're looking for a joke. Here's my joke. You ready? Knock, knock. Who's there? The guy that doesn't prepare or be accountable. The guy who doesn't prepare and be accountable, who? Exactly. Thank you much. Thank you so much. The diverse Toastmasters that you are. Back to you.
Hey, great, Alex. You got in that word of the day. Very excellent. Timer, would you please put a minute on the clock for our evaluator to take notes?
It's on. You didn't hear me. Sorry.
Oh, is that already a minute?
No, it's in process.
Oh, okay. I thought I got caught in a time warp.
One minute is up.
Thank you so much, Taze. I want to squeak in two other famous people who you may recognize who also deal with autism, and that is the actor Anthony Hopkins and the producer, filmmaker Tim Burton. We will now have our first two evaluators give their evaluation. Timer, would you please review the timing for evaluators?
Yes, I will. Timing for evaluators goes like this. At the 2 minutes mark, the green card will be up. At the 2.5 minute mark, the yellow card will be up. And at the 3rd minute, the red card will be up, and evaluators will have 30 seconds to wrap things up.
Thank you so much, Taze. Now I'm going to call up our first evaluator, and our first evaluator is Salim to evaluate our first speaker, Lydia Norman. Please take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It's indeed my pleasure to evaluate Lydia's speech. Wow, what a treat it was. The objectives of the speech was to use descriptive language. And didn't she use descriptive language? Lydia, I really loved that metaphor you had about you comparing yourself to the eagle and the catfish. And later in your speech, you said that you are the eagle, you worked like an eagle, and then your boss was the catfish. And you boss wanted to work like a catfish. That's fantastic. And in between, you had beautiful words that brought in more life to your speech. Just like most of these comments that I read on Zoom, that speech was definitely World Championship quality speech. Well done. I really loved the choice of words and articulation and delivery of your speech. What I felt was, that sometimes it's beyond your control. The technology which failed you sometimes. There were at times the words I could see your lips working, but the word was not audible. I'm sure that was due to a technological error, nothing wrong with your speech or your speech delivery. And my recommendations, my challenge to you is to keep speaking and become an ambassador of autism awareness to the world. And what did you do well? The clarity was excellent. Vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, all were in high class. Lydia, I would love to listen to you again and again. And you delivered a great message at the end, talking about neurodiversity in the workplace. Well done, and I wish you all the best. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Samin. Excellent evaluation. And yes, Lydia, an excellent speech, very, very dynamic and entertaining. Our next evaluator is Rosalind Kahn, who is going to be evaluating the second speaker, Alex Balish.
Good evening. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, and especially Alex. When we think of nonverbal communication, taking a chapter out of my public speaking class, we're talking about the head, we're talking about the eyes, the movement, the tone, and kind of the vocal variety. And so I'm going to begin with what I thought you really excelled with. I think you had some really good eye contact let me go back a second. I love the story. And I love the story. And this is not the first time, it's the second time I've heard you deliver it, because it gave a lot of room to use vocal variety and nonverbal gestures with the people that you were talking about and the situations that you encountered. Your eye contact was steady. Your head and your eyes moved as you talked about these different characters. You got it. What's that joke? My grandfather said to me, and you could hear that change in that tone of voice. The movement that you shared going from the right to the left, this change of position. But I want to give you an example, and let me stand up here and show you. You have a few favorite hand movements. And my suggestion for you is to watch the video of your speech. You do a lot of this and bringing them together. And I want you to think about, you've only can do 10 of them. So which 10 are you going to do this and then do this? And you talked about a journey. I think of a journey. Imagine a journey goes like this. Life is a journey and we go up and we go down. And thinking of unique and different things. I know you're a very accomplished speaker. I know that you have a lot of experience out there. It was good showing us the coin. It was great talking about that student who had gone over and over and over and over again to help them do that. The story that you told of your daughter and the work that continuity is really important. I think you excelled in using vocal variety in your speech. You had some hand gestures, you had some eye gestures, some body movements, and so forth. But my suggestion to you is watch it. Look at a reporter on television. Look at when it is that they put their hand out there and sell it to them. And when is it that they keep their hands to themselves? I too am an Italian, and I have to work to make sure that my hands aren't talking all the time. So use it, but use it for emphasis. And that would be my recommendation to you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Rosalind. Excellent evaluation. Some good tips that we can all use. And now we are going to take a 5-minute break. So please pause the recording and we will be back in 5 minutes.
Actually, I
Yes?
don't know how to pause it on YouTube without stopping it.
Ah,
So
okay.
I'll just put the logo up for the next 5 minutes. And when we're done, Taz will let us know.
Okay.
Fabulous. And Alpana, did you have any more questions about your evaluation? I'm so excited you're going to do your first evaluation today.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I'm excited. So I do, I think I messaged you about that. So I do share the title and what the speech is about.
No, you
Hello?
share the pathways, what path it is, level, and project. And
Okay.
then you read in the evaluation form, there's a couple of sections that you read, which tell the objectives.
Okay. I don't see 2 sections. I just found that 1 section.
There's one underneath it. Just read what's the next sentence out under that.
Oh, those are just notes for the evaluation.
Yeah, you usually read those too.
Oh,
Because it helps us as listeners to evaluate as well. So in a way, us in the audience are going to be listening like an evaluator.
okay.
Great. And you don't have to share the title, and you definitely don't have to share her introduction. That's all up to the Toastmaster of the day.
Oh, wait. So I don't have to share the title?
That's
No,
right.
I thought you said I do. I'm
no,
confused now.
no. You're just the pathway, the project, the level, and the objectives.
Okay, perfect.
That way you're sharing something different than the Toastmaster of the day is sharing. And then she shares the title of the speech, the introduction for the speaker.
All right. Let's
Okay,
see how this
great.
goes.
Hey, Carrie and Rosalind, I just looked at my email. Carrie is evaluating Rosalind, and I will read the objectives for you, Carrie, right? You're evaluating Rosalind. Okay, because I wrote it wrong in the email. I just got that. Great. Thank you.
Hayes, I forgot to ask you if you were keeping timing of the break. Did you happen to notice when we started? You are awesome. You're also muted if you were trying to say something.
Yes, I am timing it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the break is over. The 5-minute break is up.
You're muted.
Michelle.
Oh, great. Look at that. I'm just talking. How did that happen? The 5 minutes are up and we are to our second portion of the meeting. Because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges, from highly skilled to severely challenged. Charles Darwin and Emily Dickinson have also been identified as autistic. We will now complete our prepared speech portion of our meeting. And timer, would you please again review the timing cues for our prepared speakers, the 5 to 7 minute cues?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
For the prepared speakers, speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. When it's 5 minutes, you will see the green card. When it's 6 minutes, you will see the yellow card. And when it's the 7th minute, you will see the red card. You will have 30 seconds to wrap things up.
Thank you, Taze. That is very, very clear. And now I would like to introduce our third evaluator, who I've already warned you about, Alpana King. Alpana, please explain the path, level, project, and time of the speech that is you're going to be evaluating, and also the objectives of our third speaker. Go ahead, Alpana.
Hello, Toastmasters and guests. I am here to share the pathway, which is Visionary Communication, Level 1, Writing a Speech with Purpose, and the timing is 5 to 7 minutes. This is my first evaluation, and the purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose that we are about to hear, and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style that the member chooses. The content and the style of the speech should work together. So I am going to pass it back to, is it the
Toastmaster.
Toastmaster?
Yes, thank you so much, Alpana. That was excellent. Our third speaker is Carrie Lynn Kelly. Carrie, can you see the timer? Or do you need a verbal cue? Do you need verbal cues?
No, I got it. I can't see the timer because my screen is highlighted. So I got a backup device.
Would you like verbal cues as well?
No, thank you.
You're good. Awesome. You are a leader. Carrie Kelly is practicing for her contest is that division contest in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Carrie Lynn Kelly, the silence is very loud. The silence is very loud. Carrie Lynn Kelly, the stage is yours.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody that they're traveling wrong. The great abolitionist Frederick Douglass said, "It's easier to build strong children than it is to fix a broken man." I am a child abuse prevention advocate. My vision is to end child abuse on a global scale. It's important to me that adult survivors find healing. When I was only 14 months old, my adoptive mother shook me, and while she was shaking me, she bashed my head against the wall so hard that fluid built up on my brain, and I didn't get medical attention for 10 whole days. As a result, I am legally blind, which means I have enough eyesight to get in trouble, but not enough to get a driver's license. And I have seen the way some of you people with normal eyesight drive, and I could drive just as bad. I have the worst road rage. If you don't use your blinker, I will use my universal sign language. So, I have some stories to share with you that will be hard for you to hear. They will be hard for me to share, and they will make you uncomfortable. I share these because I need you to hear me. I need you to feel me so that together we can end child abuse. Come with me when I am only 4 years old to the back seat of my new adoptive parents' car as they are driving me away from the only home that I can remember. My new brother turns around from the passenger seat. "Kid, shut up all that noise." I silenced my pain. My dad, driving the car, says nothing. His silence is very loud. Come with me when I'm 8 years old. We're gonna go to church, and we're going to a Pentecostal church. We're gonna be there for a while. Sit with me in the choir stand, all dressed in yellow, because we are the Sunshine Band. I fidget, I wiggle, whisper, whisper, whisper to my friend. My mother stands up. "Can't shut up talking in church." I was so embarrassed. I wanted the floor to just open up and swallow me whole. The entire church congregation, including the pastor, went silent. Their silence is very loud. The next story I will share with you is very hard for you to hear. It's very hard for me to share. I am sharing it because I need you to hear me. I need you to feel me so that together we can end child abuse. Come with me the next day to my babysitter's house. I eat cereal, and I watch Sesame Street on a tiny black and white TV. My babysitter's 19-year-old grandson takes me by my hand, takes me into his bedroom. He takes off my clothes. I'm trapped. I'm in excruciating pain. He gagged me with a pair of socks, silencing my pain. I know you're uncomfortable. I hear the school bus come and leave without me. I share this because I don't want another child going through what I went through. I need you to hear me. I need you to feel me so that no other child has to go through this. Are you willing to break your silence? If you see something, say something. Are you willing to save a child out of harm's way? If you know something, do something. So my sharing shall not be in vain. Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you, Carrie. Excellent, powerful speech. Taze, would you please put a minute on the timer for the evaluator?
One minute is up. We can't hear you.
We all have the same problem, don't we? Okay, so I thought you had heard me, but you must have just heard it inside. Our fourth evaluator is Carrie Kelly, and please, Carrie, well, actually, Cynthia Stott is going to provide the details of the PAC level, project time, and speech objectives for our fourth speaker. Cynthia?
Thank you. And in keeping with our celebration of diversity, I'm going to read the speech objectives for Carrie because she has difficulty reading them with her eyesight. And she will be evaluating Rosalind Kahn. Rosalind Kahn is speaking from the Pathway Strategic Relationships, Level 3, Connect with Your Audience. The objectives of this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. Notes for evaluator. The member completing the project is practicing skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. To do this, the member presents a topic that is new or unfamiliar to your club members. Listen for a topic that is unusual or unexpected in your club. Take notes of the members' ability to present the unusual topic in a way that keeps the audience engaged. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Cynthia. Really well described. Our fourth speaker is Rosalind Khan. And Rosalind, can you see the timer? You can. Okay. And you are muted right now, so you might want to unmute yourself. While I explain that Rosalind is practicing for her contest in Los Angeles. Rosalind Khan, TV Trauma to Triumph. TV Trauma to Triumph, Rosalind Khan. You have the stage.
Emergency, emergency, emergency. We interrupt tonight's broadcast to let you know that Elizabeth Smart has been found after 9 months in captivity, sexually harassed. Tonight's regularly scheduled program, Connie Chung interview with disenfranchised teacher Rosalind Khan, has been postponed. They say life is 2% showing up on time, 5% luck, and 90% being present by John Fry. Madam Toastmasters and most welcome guests, today I'd like to share a story of my life in the field of teaching. I've always taught public speaking, and I thought, gosh, if I could only teach something else, and this unique opportunity came that I got to teach interpersonal communication. You see, interpersonal is people getting in groups and the 8 hats and conflict resolution. And on the first day, there are 2 things I tell my students. Number 1, show up on time. Number 2, turn your work in on time, which is followed by a letter that I give them to fill out. And on this document, it asks them, what's your name? Where do you come from? What books do you read? Do you have any special interests? Anything I should know? And one student by the name of John Smith wrote that. He was bipolar. Now, very interesting. Oh, well, I won't worry about it. Later on, he came up to me and he asked me a question. He said, Professor Khan, I was wondering if you'd like to be the mentor of my club. I said, sure, what is it? And he mentioned some political party that I was not a member of. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. Not quite a member of that club, but it'll be okay. Wait till you find out what happens next. And so my students had this problem. They didn't like the showing up on time, and they didn't like turning their assignments in on time. And so I thought, I got it. A letter to the President of the United States of the methods of mass destruction. Now, does the President of our United States have the time to go ahead and write a personalized letter to each and every person? Of course not. Well, my students who showed up late decided that rather than show up on time, they would conduct a vendetta to decimate my name as a teacher. And this is what happened next. They pulled me out of the classroom. Meanwhile, 20 years ago, my name went viral across every television station, every radio station. My home was a recording studio where my husband had to field calls. And my attorney told me 2 things. Don't interview and don't tell your students. Well, the schools then decided to bring me into their offices. And they would ask the question. One school stood ahead and said, do you do these things at our school, Rosalind? No. I have a student who goes all the way from Camp Pendleton in San Diego, comes to Pasadena, and his job is to send the students off to war. I couldn't feel prouder to have that student in my classroom. Well, you better make sure you don't do those activities here, Rosalind. No, I wouldn't do that. The second school in the center of LA called me in the office and they said this, Rosalind, you got to hear this tape. Hi, this is John. We're calling you from the deep south, and you got this crazy, wild, out of hand teacher. She's a radical. You got to get her out of the system. She's gone, or let her go. Let her go. They responded to me and they said these words: Rosalind, the classroom is your castle. You can do as you please. If that wasn't bad enough, the third school, I taught at a high school down in Inglewood, and there was this day these kids were out of control. I thought for sure they'd been watching or hearing the news, because everywhere you were, it was out there. They were horrible. And I get to my car to escape that horrible kids. And there it was again, Rosalind Kahn, teacher accused of blah, 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 blah. And, you know, there was some good news. I got more interviews than I'd ever got before for a full-time job. So obviously they didn't listen to the news. But I was in court and I was out of court, and it was in court and it was out of court and in and out and in and out. And finally, the judge made a final decision. He was going to turn it over to mediation. And so as we walked in that mediation room and they asked me the question, tell us the story, Rosalind. I said, my name is Rosalind Kahn. I absolutely love teaching. I love my students. I only ask just two things. Make sure they turn in their assignments on time. Make sure that they show up on time. And rather than do that, they had a vendetta against me, against everything that I was. When I left that room, my attorney looked at me and he said, Rosalind, you are one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. Time moved ever so slowly as I was waiting for the decision of what the mediation came. And one day, the letter came. I opened it up, and you'll never guess what. I won! I beat him! I beat him! There was just one condition. I couldn't go out on the media and tell the story. And so I'm here to tell you the story right here and now. And the moral of the story is this: when you've been wronged, when people call you by bad names that aren't true, don't duck your head, don't hide. Stand up and be who you are. Because Elizabeth Smart and Connie Chung might have knocked me off that stage many years ago today, but you know, I've got my own TV show, and maybe it's my turn to go ahead, invite them back and tell them how that story many years ago changed, because I've just received an award as the best part-time teacher at Los Angeles City College. I have my own TV show. So next time I'm going to call them on the phone and say, hi, Connie. Hi, Elizabeth. I'd like to have you come and interview on my show, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rosalind, for a very, very intriguing speech. I've heard it before, and it has definitely gotten better and better. You're doing really well. Timer, would you please put a minute on the clock for us? Thank you.
One minute is up.
Thank you so much, Taze. Several factors may influence the development of autism. And I've frozen again. See, that's what happens. Those influences are often accompanied by sensory sensitivities, medical issues such as gastrointestinal GI disorder, seizures or sleep disorders, as well as mental health challenges such as anxiety, depression, and attention issues. Two more famous people with autism, Bobby Fischer, who was the great chess player, and Bill Gates. We know who he is. He's the founder and creator of Microsoft. We will now move to the second segment of our meeting, the impromptu speeches called Table Topics. Timer, please explain the timing of table topics to our audience.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the meeting. For table topics / impromptu speaking, the green card will be up at the 1 minute mark. The yellow card will be up at 1 minute, 30 seconds. And the red card will be up at 2 minutes. You will have 30 seconds to wrap up your answer. Back to you, Toastmaster of the meeting.
Thank you so much, Taze. Please, everybody, give a round of applause for our table topics master, Lydia Norman. Lydia, thank you so much. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am very excited to speak on, or to actually lead this discussion of World Autism Awareness Day, which was yesterday. It was recognized by the UN. I've put some links into the chat, which are links to the UN celebration of the event yesterday, which actually was many autistic people sharing their viewpoints and on different places of autistic contribution. So whether that's in the home, at work, in the arts, and then also in policy and advocacy. So I'd like to ask a few questions of just to get your viewpoint on such things that those of us who are autistic like myself face. So the first thing is, as our Toastmaster, Dr. Michelle, shared, autism is seen as a childhood condition. However, there are many people like me who are not diagnosed until well into their adulthood years. So the workplace is based upon getting accommodations or special ways that the workplace can give people ways to work well. However, it's based upon getting a diagnosis from a doctor. However, most people are not diagnosed. So I would like to know, how would you address someone saying that they were autistic, however, they do not have an official diagnosis? Sally's raising her hand.
So your question is, how would you approach a person who has a diagnosis or doesn't have it but has peculiar behavior?
How would you address someone who says that they are autistic but they do not have an official diagnosis?
Well, I have recently took on a tenant who came to me who was a tall, good-looking young man, and I could tell he was a little uneasy. He wanted to rent an apartment because he couldn't live with his family because he might give them COVID. So he had to be separate. And I said, great. I said, this is a good place. I could see he was very nervous. Every time he came out of his front door, he had to lock the door just to go to the laundry room, which was about 10 feet away. So I said, you really don't have to worry about the door locking. And so I knew that he was a tremendous person with a lot of sensitivity And I don't think he actually knows he might be autistic. He gets extremely nervous and distressed, and he tries to do an A1 plus job all the time. He wants to make sure that he's the best at what anybody could do, and extremely sincere. I'm very interested in having him think about discussing autism, but he thinks it's, I think, a shameful thing. And we have become tremendous friends. When anything happens in his life that's difficult or fun, he calls me. He takes me to dinner, to breakfast. It's just the sweetest person I have met in a long time, who sincerely appreciates that I don't have any judgment about his being bad or good or anything. He's just a wonderful person. So I would love to have him get some help. And I'm going to be supporting him at any time for the last several years that he needs someone to talk to get used to. He might need some support to accept the fact that he's brilliant and has just different ways to achieve showing his brilliance. I'm going to support it until I can get him to understand it and not judge it in a hidden fashion. But I just think he's one of the best people I have ever met. And I share in his joy in self-expression and conscientious activities to do the best he can do. And I feel wonderful having a friend like that. That everyone else is so guarded. They don't even want to know that they want to be friends or they want to support you. This guy is absolutely amazing. And he's 35 years old, something like that. But people try to pick him out and pick on him just to show off that they can be cruel. So I hope that someday soon, in closing, the importance of autism is to accept it, enjoy the diversity, and make the best friend you ever had. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So when people think of autism, they think of someone like Rain Man, or maybe a savant, which would be someone with autism who maybe has a very low IQ, or who maybe has an extremely high IQ. That's a genius. However, there's a saying that when you meet a person with autism, you've met one person with autism. I'd like to share a few names of people in the UN videos and their jobs. There was Ed Dupree, who was a business data analyst and a modeler. There was Sir Nick Hine, who was a Royal Navy officer, as well as Anshar Seraphim, who was a high-stakes negotiation trainer. So hearing those names along with their jobs, as opposed to what you think of what normally when you hear of someone with autism, such as Rain Man, what is your thoughts on that? Let's see. Dee Marie.
I am speaking from the position of a psychiatric registered nurse who has dealt with autistic clients. And I'm also speaking from the position that I know that we are not placed on this earth to judge other people. I do understand from the research that I have been privy to that persons who are autistic normally have one trait or something about them that is extremely wonderful. They have excelled in this one particular instance above and beyond anything that you could imagine. So that is where my mind goes when you tell me what these people who were on the UN film, what their professions were. There's a theory that even with mentally challenged individuals who are just psychiatric patients. Their ability to restore information and to receive the sounds that come into their being, they retain more of it than a regular person, which in part accounts for why they are not able to manage it, because they retain so much input and they become confused, so they can't handle it. But I'm not here to judge. I'm here to work with the person to help them be their best self and to accept them at the level where they are. I think that the diversity that we have within our surroundings and the people that we come in contact with on a daily basis will help us all to become better people, because we are not here to judge others. We are here to work with the person, in my humble opinion, to make them the best that they can be and to accept them for who they are, so that they will have a wonderful experience as they go on this journey that we're all on. Because I would hate to think that someone would shun me because I didn't fit into or appear to be exactly what they thought I should be. We cannot judge, should not judge each other. So I would not judge them. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Do we have time for one more question?
That's a good question, Lydia. Let me just check and see where we're supposed to be at this point. Because we have the evaluation portion. Table topics, looks like we can go until 33. So you have, yes, you have time for another one. Go ahead.
I think she's frozen.
Well, I can see her eyes are blinking. Lydia, did you hear me?
Yeah, you're frozen.
Oh,
Yes, we have time for another one.
okay. All right. So I have a quote from who I mentioned before, Anshar Seraphim. He said, neurotypical people, which are people who are not autistic or have other cognitive impairments, can learn so much from people, autistic people, who have to toss out everything that comes naturally, but they shouldn't have to. Addressing neurodiversity is something we all have the responsibility to address, and we shouldn't leave those least equipped to address it. What is your opinion on that quote? Rosalind?
Well, there's a story I'm dying to tell you. There's a lady I know whose name is Maria Tiacas, and her son owns this chocolate store. And I was just on the phone with her, and I texted her a message of how much I wish that she could be there, because she is so proud of her son, who went through a number of classes and a number of different trainings and things like that, that he could have his own store. He told me with great glee and great happiness how he'd gone to XYZ location over the weekend and he was selling candy. Here he is at 35 years old, and he's got his own business, and his mother is there at his side in his business, helping him to do that. She wants to get a movie made out of it. I have another story to share of another gentleman I knew who grew up with autistic, who was autistic, and he went to China, and he was so adept at learning the language that he now uses that at his job, and he's really successful in the work that he's going ahead and doing it. And as Dee Marie had said, for what they lack, there's always else some other trait or ability that they exceed in. And I think the invitation for all of us in this world of diversity is, we have no way of looking at someone, whether they're half, whether they're whole, or who they are. But what if we treated everyone, regardless of who they were, as being a great human being and accepted them for the great and vast and many talents that they do have? And I think that is the message that this talk in today's session really invokes in all of us. And I thank you for giving me the chance. Although I've spoken many times today, this was an important message I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. So I guess the one thing I'd like to wrap up by saying is that the UN theme of transformation toward a neuro-inclusive world for all, neurodiversity includes so many other things other than autism, ADHD, anxiety, any host of other invisible things that affect our minds. And so, as I said in my speech, disability does not mean unable. It just means that we do things differently. And so it's my hope that we can all have that world where we can all be our full selves and bring our whole selves, whether it's work, home, or wherever. And thank you for your participation. And I will hand it back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Lydia. That was such a very interesting table topics discussion. It was really valuable to hear other people's viewpoint and their experiences with people who have autism and how they would handle it, and all wonderful role models. I have a few more details about autism. Signs of autism usually appear by age 2 or 3. Some associated development delays can appear even earlier, and often it can be diagnosed as early as 18 months. Research shows that early intervention leads to positive outcomes later in life for people with autism. But as Lydia has already pointed out, we don't always recognize when somebody has autism, sometimes not until they're an adult. Would it surprise you to learn that Michelangelo and Sir Isaac Newton have also been identified as autistic? We now go to the third section of our meeting, the evaluation section. And Rosalind Kahn, once again, I need you to come back on the stage and please have the timer explain the timing for the evaluators and introduce our last 2 evaluators.
Okay, so thank you so much. And I'm going to call on my good friend, the timer, Taze, to let us know how our evaluators did. And here we go.
Not how they did, but actually
Not
how
yet.
they need
For the
to.
evaluations, timing for the evaluations.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. When it comes to evaluators this evening, evaluators, when you make the 2-minute mark, you will see green. When you make the 2-minute and 30-second mark, you'll see yellow. And when you make it to the 3rd minute, you will see red, and you will have 30 seconds to wrap up your evaluation. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Okay, and I return control to Michelle to introduce our evaluators.
Actually, Rosalind, this time you get to introduce the evaluators. Aren't you lucky?
I am so lucky. I am so lucky. So here we go. I'd like to go ahead and introduce DeMarie King, who's going to evaluate speaker number 3, which is Carrie Lynn Kelly.
Alpana, can you see the timer?
I'm sorry, Alpana, my mistake. Alpana, you are the 3rd evaluator.
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't hear my name, so that's why I was confused.
There you go. You're our 3rd evaluator.
I was supposed to go. Okay. So yes, I am really excited to do my first evaluation, and it was incredible. This is the first time I listened to Carrie talk, so this is an introduction for me. As far as her purpose goes, it was excellently communicated through the speech. I found the speech to be humorous, informational, and it also supported the speech style. One of the things that I wanted to say is when she started the speech and her title, which was "The Silence is Very Loud," that in itself was really gripping. So that just drew me in. And all throughout the speech, I loved the way that she wove songs and stories and went back to the theme of her speech, which was the silence is very loud. The humor that was used throughout was also really good, as she shared that the content of the speech was a little heavy, rightfully so. And I really appreciated that she had trigger warnings at different points in time through the speech. And also the purpose of the speech, which was a call to the audience or to the listeners to be able to take action, was or to be able to be introspective in some ways and ask questions, was also really clear in the speech. So I think overall there was lots of amazing variety, vocal variety, as well as a diversity throughout the entire speech. A couple of areas that she may want to work on is to provide some resources for the listeners on how they can take action to move forward with the next steps, whatever they are, whatever she would like them to do. The other thing I thought, while there was a lot of vocal variety, when she speaks about the silence is loud, I could just imagine having even like a higher tone of voice, which would actually make it almost deafening to make the point about the silence. And then to challenge herself, this topic is uncomfortable. So there are no two ways around it. And I don't feel like it is absolutely necessary to tell people maybe multiple times. Maybe they need to be uncomfortable to be able to take action. And that's just my personal view, because anytime you want people to take action, they need to be uncomfortable. But overall, amazing speech. So thank you so much, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Rosalind, you're muted. Rosalind, you're muted, and it's back to you.
Okay, I'm always muted when I have something important to say. You are a natural. I vote you for our next evaluator in the evaluator speech contest. You have great insight. You were right on the mark and so many fruitful comments. Thank you so much. And don't discount yourself. You know a lot. We all know what we like and what we can see to improve. So let's go to our fourth evaluator, which is Carrie Lynn Kelly, who's going to be going ahead and evaluating myself. Thank you.
Rosalind, I love your speech. The beginning always catches me. The warning, the breaking news. That is like my favorite thing. And I love the story about how like you bring us right into what you're doing, the classroom. You say very plainly and clearly, turn in your assignments, come to class on time. And everybody's heard that. We all hear that when we go to school. That's no different from any other teacher. And how they made it into something nefarious, I will never understand. I don't know how that happened. So that will be the thing to kind of tell us, like, what was it that set them off to make them want to, out you and put you in the spotlight like that. And then the going back and forth to court, and you won your case, and the celebration of you winning your case was perfectly on point. The last piece where you say you want to have Elizabeth Smart and Connie Chung on your show, that feels, what's the word I'm looking for? Not exactly revenge-like, but it feels kind of like I got a show now, and now you got it. It's just I think you don't need that part. Otherwise the vocal variety is there, all the gestures are there, all the body language is there. And the speech was very moving. Thank you. Back to you, Rosalind.
All right. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for your remarks and your feedback. I look forward to talking to you on what we should do next, but that's another point, another time. So let me go and call the timer for the report on the evaluations. Kate, you're back.
Rosalind, I think he's going to report on all of the speakers and all the timing.
Okay. So you got
Yeah, yes. Now it's my turn. I will do the timers report for all the speakers and evaluators and table topic speakers for tonight's meeting. And I will start off with this. Lydia Norman, first speaker, 7 minutes, 49 seconds. Alex Baelish, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. Forgive me for the pronunciation. I didn't write it down too properly, but our first evaluator, is it something Salwin?
Salim.
2 minutes. Celine, right. Celine, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Rosalind Khan, second evaluator, 2 minutes, 26 seconds. We had our 5-minute break. Carrie Kelly, our third speaker, 6 minutes, 47 seconds. Rosalind Khan, our fourth speaker, exactly 7 minutes. Now will be table topics. Sally Rez, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Dee Marie King, 2 minutes. Rosalind Khan, 1 minute, 38 seconds. Back to evaluators. Alpana, 3 minutes, 27 seconds. Carrie Kelly, 2 minutes. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for the timing report. I will now call on Sally Elizabeth Reyes for the grammarians report.
Thank you. Well, we had a busy day today and with autism awareness and discussions of wonder what wonderful people have autism. That's amazing. We had our word of the day, which is diversity. I have one, Alex had 2, Lydia had 5, Michelle had 6, Rosalind had 5, and that's probably the amount. Okay, and let's see. Well, we have Carrie. Carrie had 5 ums, and she spoke very well, but we have to get rid of the ums. And I think accountability and harsh words that I thought I've not heard harsh in a long time. It was very, very good word. And let's see, I think that's all we're doing. We had some ums. Michelle. Oh, she had 6 words diversity, but 1 and an and an So that covers it for today. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you so much for a beautiful accountability of our ands, ums, ers, and those filler words. It's always fun when we're in that position to put our hearing on special alert to see what we can do. So it is now my evaluation of today's meeting. You know, what always surprises me about our club is how we always come in and pitch for one another. There's one person out and there's another person in. I want to compliment our Toastmaster, Michelle, for an outstanding job of literally giving us a historical perspective of what autism is about with all the information that she went ahead and shared. And she really took her thing to the next level of making sure, you know, there's a saying I heard once that you should leave the world a little better than it was. And anytime a person made a mistake, she was there to go ahead and put you on. I want to thank our table topics master, Lydia. You did phenomenal on your job of autism. It was really beautiful to see you talk about a topic that is so important to all of us. And I just want to share one other really important thing that stood out to me. All the speakers who stood out and spoke today looked their finest and looked their best. You know, the hair was nice, the makeup was nice, the parting was nice, the bald spots, everything was all, it just looked like they were truly in their finest thing. They say, you know, dress the part until you make it. So we're all international champions as we're up there going ahead and speaking. And I think it was a great meeting overall. I love the evaluations. They did a great job. And just thank everybody for their part and pulling it in there. And I'm going to return control to our VPE of Cynthia Stott to ask our guests what they felt about today's meeting. Thank you so much for giving me this role.
Okay, so I'm actually going to take the roles for next meeting. Thank you, Rosalind. Lydia, do you want to write them down or do you want to ask for them?
I can write it down.
Especially.
Your voice is breaking up, Cynthia.
Can you hear me now?
Very muffled.
Muffled. Let me mute my video. Is that better?
No.
No.
How about now?
Much better.
Okay, I've got my face right in the phone. Okay. So we're the next meeting is in 2 weeks and it's the 17th at this time, 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we would like to see who wants to speak and evaluate. All the roles are open, not right now, I think. Can you confirm that, Lydia? I was trying to confirm that in, here we go. So anyone want to speak?
Why don't you put me down for speaking? I'm either going to be going on with the international competition and need the practice, or I will give a different speech.
Great. And then are you going to be an evaluator as well?
I can always do that as well.
Okay, great. So that's 1 speaker out of 4. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, this is Isaac. Put me down for a speaker.
Okay, great. And an evaluator too?
Yes.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Rosemary, could you put me down for a speaker?
Yes. And evaluator?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Got
This is
3 out of
Rosalind.
4.
I'm optimistic that I'm going to be going on. So I was wondering if I can have another place as a speaker.
Okay, you're the 4th. And evaluate too?
Of course.
Okay. Oh, I think there might have been someone signed up. So we'll see who went 1, 2, 3, 4 and who can get in there because I think Carrie was signed up. I couldn't see on Easy Speak. Okay. Who wants to be Toastmaster of the meeting? And general evaluator and timer and table topics master.
And what's the theme? Whoops.
We don't have it yet. So
Oh.
the Toastmaster will help us craft that.
I'll be the general evaluator. This is Dee Marie.
Okay, great. General evaluator. Awesome. This is Child Abuse Awareness Month, so it might be that. And I think Carrie is speaking that week because she's competing. She already signed up for Easy Speak. So that will
Okay, we're losing you.
that
We're
will
losing-
probably be the theme. Can you hear me?
Yes, now. Mhm.
And maybe she'll do table topics too. I don't know.
Yeah, why
That
not?
would be powerful because that's what we had Lydia do today. She
I
chose
think
the theme and she spoke and then she did the table topics, and it was really great to tie up the theme in every way that way. And who wants to be our Toastmaster? Okay, Toastmaster and timer, we'll find out in the WhatsApp group. How's that? Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Mhm.
Okay, great. Now I'll ask for the guests. And Lydia, did you get all of that down there, Lydia?
I did, yep.
Awesome. So do we have any guests? Let's see. How about Martin? Would you like to share what your experience was and what you're taking away with you this evening?
Wow. For me, it was interesting to hear about autism because my nephew has Asperger. He is really smart and he knows how to do many things, but only the things that he likes to do. So it's difficult to deal with all that. And I love the theme of today, that it was the diversity. And I look for a quote that it says, the art of thinking independently together. It's an unknown author, but I think that is good. For example, my nephew, he knows how to do things in design with a computer and all that. And maybe because I was not born with the chip of to do everything so fast, he knows more than me, but he doesn't like to do all those things, only what he wants to do. And I think that the diversity and having a good team, we can do many things. And you are an amazing club, and I will visit you more often. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin, for visiting us. And we haven't seen you for a long time, so it's great. Would you like a virtual chocolate? No calories, no sugar.
Oh, as I say to one person, don't buy me 0 calories. You send me with a lot of calories.
I've got some Belgian dark chocolate. Would you like me to add anything to it?
Yeah, thank you.
Ooh, maybe some almonds? Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay. And we
Thank
have,
you.
you're welcome. Enjoy. And we have Anna Marie is our guest. I know she's Rosalind's partner. I'm glad she was here to hear Rosalind. Anna Marie, what was your takeaway?
Well, I thought it was a very good meeting. We heard a lot of very insightful speeches tonight. I think Rosalind's doing great, if I may say so. And I have to say that she not only did a good job as a speaker, but as general evaluator. I haven't gotten to see her in that role, so that was good. And all of our table topic speakers were very reflective and introspective and shed a lot of good light on a subject that can be difficult to understand at times. And they were fearless and confident in how they shared their information and how they were upfront about it. And I appreciated that. So thank you for including me in the latter part of your meeting tonight.
Awesome. Awesome. And would you like a chocolate, virtual chocolate?
Sure, I'll have that.
Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh!
Thank
Enjoy.
you. That's delicious. Thank you.
Enjoy. Okay, Rosemary, what are you taking away with you tonight?
I am unable to turn on my screen tonight. Tonight, I heard wonderful speeches. Rosalind's speech has just mushroomed into something. It has just changed, and her presentation was awesome. I wish her all the best. Lydia, well, I have heard a speech, and it always captivates my imagination to look at Lydia and hear her describe herself. I would never in my wildest dream think she is autistic or in that category. And what's her name? Our other speaker, Carrie. It always hurts my heart to hear her speech because I know people who are in similar situation, and she's a grown person, and people just cannot understand that children are such precious gems that we should take care of them. So I am so proud of her for bringing that across. And Friday is her day. The silence ends here. I think that's the theme for Child Awareness Month. Overall, everyone was good. I enjoyed my meeting as usual. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And would you like a chocolate or some other dessert?
Okay, because I'm in the Caribbean, I would like a mango.
A mango! And I understand you have 200 varieties of mango in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Oh, here comes a nice juicy one. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Carolyn, what are you taking away with you tonight?
Oh, I truly appreciate the recognition of autism now. I have a great niece who is autistic, and she has demonstrated such beauty in ballet. She's 14 years old now, and it's really amazing. I've often thought, as I've watched her grow, during the years, that we were the ones who had to learn something. She didn't. We were the ones. So I truly appreciate the observance and the realization. One of the things that I know for myself, I can't look at a person and tell whether or not they're autistic or not, if they're on a spectrum. That's beyond my own inner knowing or outer knowing at this point, because that's not my field of study. But I have to agree with one thing that was said earlier. We have to learn not to be judgmental, but to receive and accept people just as they are. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And would you like a chocolate or another
Oh, you
dessert?
know me, I love chocolate covered walnuts, dark chocolate.
Woo! Dark chocolate covered walnuts coming your way. Woo!
I received them all. Thank you.
Enjoy. And they're healthy too. Dark chocolate and walnuts, that's health food.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And let's see, Isaac, we haven't heard from you tonight. What are you taking away with you?
Well, thought it was a excellent meeting. Enjoyed all the speeches, and it was good to just sit through a meeting and just spectate. And as always, I always appreciate it when Dr. Michelle Pedicolis is here, because she's always so helpful with the Zoom and naming guests and just making life as a Zoom master host easy. So I enjoyed the meeting as always, and look forward to the next one. And as far as, I don't know if they make these, but if you could give me a vegan chocolate, I would appreciate it.
Yes, they do make them. In fact, my friend was a vegan and we went on a camping trip and I bought her vegan chocolate cake.
Wow.
They actually make vegan marshmallows too. Well, especially in Los Angeles and California, San Francisco, all over California, you're pretty lucky with vegan choices. So here's some vegan chocolate, maybe dark chocolate with some almonds.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'd like to hear from Lydia. What was your experience tonight with all those different roles that you were filling?
Oh, well, it was nice to have the opportunity. I actually have rewritten my speech to do a little different take on my my reflecting on my life before I found out that I was autistic and how everything just made so much sense to me now. It's also hearing the different perspectives. It makes me realize that there's so much that I and all of us can do to really get people to understand more about autism and how we're all just so different. And, you know, it encourages me to continue to speak out and to really to educate people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And do you have resources for people with autism? Because I have a friend that is suffering from autism, and I think if he could recognize it and knew what to do, it could really help him, especially with that social anxiety and inability to connect.
Yeah. Well, I really don't like using the word suffering from, because we don't suffer from. But there are a lot of it basically what a lot of people with autism who have autism need is just to have areas where they can associate with other people who also are on the spectrum, because once they realize, okay, here are other people who think like me, that type of thing, without all of the judgment of, oh, well, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, that type of thing. That's very supportive.
Interesting perspective. Great. And would you like a chocolate?
Actually, Isaac got me thinking about there are vegan chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh, any nuts in there or just chocolate?
With nuts.
With nuts. Woohoo! Yum, yum. Here's healthy, yummy, vegan chocolate chip cookies with nuts. Woohoo!
Oh, thank you.
And Sally, did you raise your hand?
No.
I thought you did.
An objective right on.
Okay.
Cynthia,
Anyone else?
could we acknowledge Taze for doing an excellent job of timing? He was really my left-hand man. He was awesome tonight. Thank you.
It's so wonderful to have an excellent timer that you can depend on. It's huge. Anyone else want to share before we go? Okay. Okay. Well, I want to. Yes, Taze.
Yes. Yes, I did. I just would like to I appreciate the awareness on autism tonight. Autism/mental illness, it's everywhere. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it. Some people don't like to acknowledge it. They self-medicate, whether it's alcohol, coffee, or whatever, marijuana, whatever drugs. Let's accept it. Let's accept that it's real. I understand 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 people have a mental illness or an emotional problem at some point in their lives. So let's fight the stigma. Let's bring awareness. Let's support each other. And please don't make fun, insult, and let's not be judgmental. It's the right thing to do. Everybody have their gifts. Everybody have their strengths and weaknesses. And if a person is autistic, they have something special like anybody else. They have something to contribute. So I appreciate this meeting on autism, and I like the fact that Lydia was able to speak so openly and strongly about it. And I want to encourage her to keep on that way, keep being courageous about it. And it's the only way we could make things any better in life today. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And would you like a chocolate or some other dessert?
I have never had vegan chocolate cake.
Awesome. Ooh,
That sounds very expensive, at least
it
from where I'm
was.
from.
It
So
was.
I want a slice, please.
Yes, and it's fudgy icing too. It's like a dark, rich chocolate cake, like almost tort-like, with a fudgy chocolate icing. Coming
Sounds
your
good.
way. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was an amazing, amazing session. And I just love all the collaboration, the diversity, the appreciation of each other. And